And then another good example of one of these Southwestern humorists, Thomas Bangsthorpe, who wrote probably the most famous story in all of Southwestern humor, The Big Bear of Arkansas. And it's about a backwoodsman who gets obsessed with this giant bear and trails him through the woods and swamps and all that kind of stuff. And we won't go into any detail on that, but you can probably pull that up on the internet. It's a good story. It's easier to read than the Pete Whetstone stories. There's not hardly as much dialect in it, and it is a real good story. And around the same time, you have the emergence of the Arkansas Traveler legend. Does anybody know the story of the Arkansas Traveler? Nellie, did you ever go to the Arkansas Traveler Theater down in Arkansas? In Hardy?
I know where Hardy is, but no.
Yeah. There was, for several years from the 60s into the 90s, there was a dinner theater in Hardy, Arkansas, and they put on during season, 4 or 5 nights a week, they would do this Arkansas Traveler play, and it was a musical theater thing. Yeah, there's a song of the Arkansas Traveler. There's a little play that you can do with the Arkansas Traveler. The idea is that this legend comes about in the early in the 1840s, 1850s era, that this city guy is out traveling in the backwoods of Arkansas, somewhere probably in the Boston Mountains, and comes upon this family in this little log cabin, this squatter family. And he has this back and forth with the old man playing the fiddle, who's sitting on a log or sitting on a bench out front. He's playing the fiddle. And it becomes a stage play, sort of comedy back and forth, where the traveler will ask the fiddle player, why don't you patch the hole in your roof? And he says, well, when it's raining, I can't get out and do it. And if it's not raining, it doesn't need patching. That sort of thing. And, where does this road go? I've been here 20 years and it's never going anywhere since I've been here. That, really corny kind of stuff. And there's this whole long back and forth between the city slicker and the country guy. In the version that the Arkansas Traveler Theater put on in Hardy, Arkansas for all those years, the squatter always got the best of the city guy. He was always this kind of wily guy who was basically just giving him these goofball answers just to get him going, and just to have a little fun with him. The play that toured the United States in the years after the Civil War often turned the tables and had the squatter be just this kind of ridiculous hillbilly character, and the city guy tended to be more the hero of that play. So again, a lot of it depended on your perspective. The Arkansas people who did the play a few years ago just turned the tables and said, okay, we're going to have the squatter be the one who gets the best of the deal here. And but that became very popular. There was, as Millie mentioned, there was a fiddle tune that was very popular in the 1800s called the Arkansas Traveler.
Is that what the baseball team was named after?
That's how the Arkansas Travelers got their name. Yeah, there's I think the student newspaper at the University of Arkansas is also called the Arkansas Traveler. I believe that's right. And the governor of Arkansas gives out these certificates to dignitaries that are something like Arkansas Traveler plaques or something like that. So the name is still very much in use in Arkansas, most notably with the minor league baseball team in Little Rock. But that becomes part of the story. And again, you get that kind of dual image, depending on how you want to look at it, depending on your perspective of either the degenerate hillbilly or the kind of wily, old, smart hillbilly who tricks the traveler, the city slicker who comes in. And you can even see, this is the Arkansas Traveler painting that becomes famous in the mid 19th century too. There was just all kinds of Arkansas Traveler stuff. And you can see there some early elements of the hillbilly image as well, with the log cabin, the word whiskey, with letters turned around and stuff like that. And you got all these kids in various stages of undress hanging around the cabin. So you get a lot of the hillbilly imagery in that. The woman looks like she's smoking a corncob pipe or something. Yeah,
All
and
of them fit that stereotype.
yeah, and there's some reason for that. We had if you read the reading for today, if you went online and read the reading, which was about stereotyping women and the basis for the stereotypes of Ozark women, what did the writer of that article suggest? Anybody remember? She was right. She didn't appreciate the image, but she actually goes into a little bit of the background for the image of women as barefoot and pregnant and uneducated and that kind of stuff, and says to a certain degree there's some historical legitimacy in that. And life was really tough on these women because they were often pregnant and raising kids for much of their productive lives. It was very common for a woman to have a child every 18 months or 2 years. Throughout the years when she was capable of bearing children, up until she had a dozen or more children. And you can imagine what some of these women would look like after that. I mean, they wouldn't be far off of that sort of stereotypical image. Assuming that he wasn't influenced in some way by the stereotypes.
Right.
I mean, as far as we know, he tried to render his subjects as true to life as he could. And if that's the case, then you're right. A lot of the women did resemble that stereotype more than the men did. Or he could have just been drawn to women who fit the stereotype and ignored all the healthy-looking women who didn't smoke corncob pipes or drip snuff in the neighborhood. So that could be. But certainly that's where a lot of times women are stereotyped in a lot of these Ozarks portraits and stories and stuff. And they generally do look or sound something like that. They age much more quickly than the men do. That's what having a dozen kids will do to you, and taking care of this house full of children and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to read that, it's a short piece, the one that's on the syllabus, and it's a pretty good background to that. Yeah.